data manipulation for today. Okay, in this session we will be understanding how do we work around data, right from extraction to some treatment of the data, including subsetting. So we'll start off with the session now. So the learning objectives for this session, what we'll be trying to cover in this brief session would be obviously importing and exporting of data from R, that would be called as data acquisition, creation of new variables in your R console, subsetting variables or data from the existing data sets, renaming and recoding of the variables, plus reshaping the data so that you can use it more effectively. A little bit about merging and concatenation of the data sets, typically also using SQL statements to manipulate data using the SQLDF package which we had mentioned in the beginning. And then we'll be touching upon data type conversions and data values. That would be something which we will be covering in this whole session. That's our objective for today. Data acquisition basically talks about how to ingest data into a system and how to port that data back into some other system, right? So you could be talking about a database from where you could be extracting the data into R, right? Doing some manipulation, some tasks on that, creating models, maybe probably creating your outputs, and finally once you're ready with the visualization of the output, you might want to port this back into some other system. There could be multiple systems, but we'll be trying to touch upon some few systems. So basically importing and exporting of data. That's about data acquisition. Importing data using RStudio. So what we'll be doing now is we'll be reading some files into the R system, right? So we'll be using some sample frames which are available generically across the whole web itself, right? So we won't be typing much, we'll be importing data directly into R. So first thing we need to know is, so this is what the first time when a user is trying to open an RStudio would look. So RStudio is your IDE, that is integrated development environment, which talks to the background, that is your basic R system, right? So obviously what we are using right now is the R version 3.2.3, that's the latest version, wooden Christmas tree version, right? Okay, so I'm just going to use a Control L and I'm going to just clear off everything which is on the whole console, right? Now when we go about training, we might not use the code window that much. So if you click over here, you have the R script file. You're actually supposed to write all your codes over here and it would be executed in the console, right? So a brief about all these things would come as we go ahead, right? Okay, so now about importing the data, right? So I'm not going to use this code window. I'm directly going to type in over here or make some usage of some existing menus which are available over here, right? So what I'll show you first is the UCI dataset platform, which is a generic available for all without charge platform. So you just have to type UCI repository, right? Now these datasets are available from a lot of hosts. For example, Tableau has one link wherein they have a lot of datasets, but those are very heavy datasets. Then there is something which comes from SAS, something from SPSS. We will go and try to extract different types of data. So here you are. So you will just click on datasets. So it should bring on to a link based web page over here, right? You can extract any data. So for the time being, I'll just show you how to extract a data called as adult dataset, which has around 48,000 records, right? It's an old dataset. So I'm just going to go over here. So there are various ways. Now you could import a direct CSV file, or you can import something which is in a flat file format, right? So let's have a look at the adult dataset and see how it looks. Just clicking over here. It should take some time based on your internet speed as to, and here is the data folder. Okay, so here is the dataset. This is the adult data. I just clicked over here. So this is a CSV file. It's a flat file, right? Most of your files are kept in flat file format. So if you're moving it from an SQL server or a Greenplum database or a MongoDB or anything into some other system, it's usually kept in a flat file format because those are very light in size. It doesn't have the cost of metadata being inbuilt into that. It doesn't have something related to structure over there. You can just import whatever data you need and then work on that according to the framework you need. So I'm just going to select this and do a Control C. So I got the link. I'm going into my RStudio over here and I say import dataset and I say web URL because I'm just passing the link. For this you need to be connected to the internet. If you're not, it will give an error. and then you'll say an OK. So your R would start downloading the data from the respective web link, right? If it's a flat file. Otherwise, you usually would like to download a file and then extract it using the same menu, that is import data set. But within that, you won't select the web URL, but you'll actually go for a location on your hard disk. Right. So once this comes in, so you can see that the download process has started. The internet over here is a little bit slow today, so that's the reason as to why it's showing so much of time. Otherwise, it shouldn't take more than 5 to 10 seconds for such a small size of data. Okay, so let's be a little bit patient. You can see the URL is listed over here. This is how the data is coming. Once you extract the complete data, this will show up as a data frame within R. You can see it on the right window in the environment tab, where all the objects in R is kept, right? So everything over here, objects, whatever we discussed in the previous session, like vectors and all those things, basically are nothing but a space utilized in your memory, in your RAM, right? So you shouldn't be making this very heavy, or else it will slow down the system and the processing power of R itself. So we are done with 50%. Okay, there's the data, it's in. Now you can see over here the data as listed over here. You can just say an import. Okay, now you can see it as a data frame. So the whole data is over here, right, on the platform, and you can see it's these many observations of 15 variables, right? So that's about how do you ingest a CSV file. Okay, now there are other options also, like if you want to manually do this also, you can do it, but obviously I'll have to put a file over there and then read it. Most of the time we would be interested in obviously reading something like a Excel file also, right? So obviously we'll have to create a file for that, right? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to create a new Excel file. So let me see if I have an Excel application which I can use to basically write. Okay, this system doesn't have the office suite, so I guess we won't have an XLS file itself. So what we'll do for the time being is we'll just download some Excel file from the internet and then we'll use it, right? So I'm just going out of the way and I'm saying some file. So I'm saying data in Excel format, right? So something in Excel or data, and I can say plus file type XLS. Sample data. Search tools. Let's try to take this Excel sample data. We don't know what the data is, but let's just use it. Obviously, because we don't have a Excel application, otherwise we could have just typed some sample data and created an Excel file for ourselves. Okay. You should click on this link. Small zip file. Extract to the desktop, maybe. That could be the best location. Okay. And just minimizing this to check whether the file has really come. Oh, okay, there's sample data. I'm not sure what is the content because it open. Okay, it's the trial version. I'm not getting into that. Okay, now one way, assuming that everything is going smooth, is to use an XLSX package. So what I'll do is first I'll do an install. So in R, most of the time you might have to install a package so that you can communicate with a specific type of file, right? So for the Excel, you need an XLSX package. I'm just going to say XLSX. So this should help us install this package. You have to say yes when it asks you that you want to create a personal library. Say yes, and it will ask you for the location. So the default location is stick documents R when library 3.2. Say yes. Obviously, one more important point for this is that you need to have the Java installations. If those are not there, it would create some problems for you. So this obviously would be evident once we try using this package. So it might start giving us some error if the Java files are not there. So let me just try activating this package. Yeah, I'm correct. So the Java file could not be loaded because we don't have it. So let me just again go back and do a Java installation. Okay, so you can just go on this web link. Okay, so this is from Oracle, and say download Java. It's version 8. In R, you mostly have to do a lot of things, and that's the reason why it's not as easy as in SaaS platform is, because in SaaS you get the bundled executable if you pay for it and you don't have to do much. But in R, you would have to interface between different systems. You need to know how things communicate with each other, and most of the times you might have to go ahead and do a lot of base work also. So if somebody has already configured and pre-installed everything for you, it might work very smooth. Otherwise, you have to take a little bit of pain to go ahead and do all these things. Say yes. This would eat up some of our time, but it's a good thing that we are doing this at runtime with nothing installed, so that you get a base idea as to what all things should be there in your system. Otherwise, if these things are already present in your system, you might feel that okay, it's going smooth, but it's not working on some other system. So this gives you a fair bit of idea as to what things should be there in your system. So this should take some time. So all those guys who have a fair bit of programming idea into Java would or C would probably find R very easy. As compared to that, those who have expertise in SQL based programming would find something like say SAS programming quite easy, right? So basically this is more of C programming, R, and SAS would basically follow SQL programming. But nowadays, with the new upgrades in SAS also, even for the trial version, you don't have to do a lot of coding because all the procs are already kept over there. You just have to do clicks and it works fine for you. Just check you're on it. Okay, so I'm not saying that upgrade my browser. I'll just say next. So this is the actual download happening now. So once we are through with this installation, we might have to run the XLSX package installation again just to check it once, and if it goes through, then it's fine. Or else uh, we'll just write the code and see how it works just to save on time, because a lot of time in our goes into debugging and setting and all those things. So we'll get a fair bit of idea as to what should be done if everything is in place. So it says that we have successfully installed it. So it's just verification, so we don't need to do this. Okay, so I'm just going to do the installation again. Okay, I'm going to say library XLSX, still giving us some error. So let's do one thing. Let's say install dot packages are Java manually, because these are all dependency files, and still if it's not working, then it's a problem with the registry itself. See some other package also. Just check over here the package itself. Where is RJR? Get the working directory. Documents are library 3.2 packages. Okay, so for the time being, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and execute, show the code on the screen itself, but we need to get this rectified. So possibly in the further part of the sequence, we'll try to check that, right? Typically, if you have to get the data, you will have to say my data, right? That's a standard name you'll give for whatever you want to hold it to, and you say read dot xlsx, right? That's how you call it, and you would have to give the file location. So in this case, the file location which you want to import is obviously on the desktop, right? So this is the file, so I'm just showing you this part. this PC, Windows, users, articles, desktop, and this is the file. So you'll have to copy this whole link, Control C, and then obviously the name of the file also. So you'll say something like this, plus /, and then you'll have to give the name of the file. But incidentally, if you know, so in this case it is sample data.xls, right? That's a file. So that's how you'll type your code, and you'll pass a 1 because you want the sheet 1 over there. Another option could be that you don't do all this stuff, you just do a get working directory, so you know where the location is. So part of this whole link is already saved over there, c:/users/marticus/document. the structure is already there, so you will just mention the file. But in that case, you might have to move this file which is on the desktop into this specific location to access it. That's how you do it.